Hi everyone, my name is Akash Khan. I'm excited to demo the outsourced manufacturing capabilities in NetSuite today. This is a powerful tool that helps companies manage any subcontracted manufacturing processes they may have. One of the key benefits of this feature is the fact that inventory your firm owns can be consumed as part of the manufacturing process. The costs associated with that inventory will ultimately be baked into the total inventory value of the finished good that's being produced. That being said, I'm going to get into some of the prerequisite setup and then demonstrate the end-to-end process at a high level. So the first thing that you need to do is enable the outsourced manufacturing feature. So you'd want to go to Setup, Company, Enable Features, and that'll take you to this page. And on the Items and Inventory tab, under the Inventory section is where you'll find the outsourced manufacturing feature. So you'll see it right here. We have it enabled. And then one more thing to note is that when you enable outsourced manufacturing, there's another prerequisite feature that needs to be turned on, and that's Advanced Bill of Materials, which you can see right here. And you'll see how advanced bill of materials comes into play as I actually enter the purchase order and walk you through the end-to-end process. So once you've enabled the features, the next thing you want to do is set up a location for your outsourced manufacturer. So for the sake of the demonstration today, we'll be building a bicycle at a subcontracted location. So what I've done is just created a location called bicycle manufacturing location. And the key thing that needs to be turned on here is that inventory is available. Because remember, one of the key benefits of this feature is that you can store your own inventory or at least transfer it to that location and consume it as part of the manufacturing process. Next, we'll go to the vendor setup. So keeping things generic here, we have a bicycle manufacturer. And when you enable the outsourced manufacturing feature, you'll find that on the vendor record, there will now be an outsourced manufacturing tab. And in order for the means by which you indicate that this is an outsourced manufacturer is by assigning the manufacturing location. So here you can see that I established the bicycle manufacturing location as our outsourced location for this vendor. Next, we want to go into the cost category setup. So what I've done here is I've created a cost category called outsourcing charge. And also when you enable the outsourced manufacturing feature, you'll see that a cost type has been added called outsourcing charge. And we'll be assigning this cost category to the actual production charge item, which will be included both in the bill of materials and will be a line item on the purchase order. And we'll be getting into that setup in just a minute. So next I want to take you into the setup of the actual assembly item that we'll be building. So this is the bicycle here. We've got a unit of measure of eaches. And then, like I said, we had to enable the advanced bill of materials feature. So that's why we have this as a separate record, unlike with that feature not being turned on where the bill of materials would be living directly on the assembly record. We have a separate record now here called bill of materials and bill of materials revision. So I'll show you the setup for this now. So standard bicycle BOM, I've indicated here that this is our outsourced bicycle BOM. Next, I'll take you into the revision to see how I define the components and what's really going into the production of this bicycle. So keeping things simple here, we've got a bicycle frame, quantity of 1, wheels, quantity of 2, handlebars, and then also, like I said, we have this production charge item. And the automation is really going to be driven by this item. And you'll see that based on the PO rate that we assign for this item, this is going to be a dynamic cost that ultimately gets baked into this bicycle BOM. So quickly, I'm going to go through now each of those components that I brought up. So first, we've got the bicycle frame. So this is a standard inventory item setup. Of course, this could be a subassembly if we chose to set it up that way, but for the sake of this demonstration, I'm keeping this simply as an inventory item. And I do want to point out here, when I go into the GL impact later, when we actually go through the transactions, that the asset account here is inventory raw materials. And I kept the same setup for the other components as well. So we've got the wheels and the handlebars with the same asset account of inventory raw materials. The last item that I want to bring up again is that production charge. So, like I said, we assigned the cost category of outsourcing charge here. And then also on the accounting side, you'll see that we have an expense account called outsourced manufacturing expense. So that's really all of the prerequisite setup that will go into being able to use this outsourced manufacturing module. And now I'm going to get into actually submitting a purchase order for the bicycle, and we'll get into the GL impacts and all of the associated transactions that are produced. So I'm entering a purchase order, and one thing to note about the outsourced manufacturing module is it's very form specific. So you'll see that when you enable the feature, there's going to be a standard outsourced purchase order form that's been added to your system. And you can also, of course, customize it, but you'll need to customize that outsourced purchase order form because a lot of the automation behavior is driven off of that form. So what I've done here is I've created a demo outsourced purchase order. And you'll see that I selected the bicycle manufacturer as my vendor. I can choose to associate it to the bicycle manufacturing location, and I'll go ahead and add that bicycle as the assembly that's being purchased. And you'll see that that bicycle manufacturing location actually defaulted in for this first line item. So I'm going to choose the bicycle here. I'll keep it simple and say we're just going to purchase a quantity of one here with a rate of $100. So I just want to point out again that here's that production charge item. So this is really our way of saying that this vendor is charging us $100 for the services that are included and potentially any additional labor and materials that may be included as part of this bicycle manufacturing process. And you'll see that that bill of materials that we created and the revision have also been populated here at the line level. So I'll just go ahead and add this and save the purchase order. Okay, so this purchase order has now been received, and we'll see here at the line level, we now, under this create work order column, have work order 317 that was created. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up in a new tab. Excuse me, let me just go back and open this up. And you'll see that we have a work order now for this item at the bicycle manufacturer's location. And it's simply going to be a quantity of one. And this is now using inventory that we have stored at the manufacturer's location. So prior to actually submitting this work order, I transferred a quantity of the bicycle frames, wheels, and handlebars to the manufacturer's locations. Of course, you could purchase directly to that location if you'd like, or transfer it like I did. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go ahead and receive that purchase order. And you'll see that on the work order here, we have a receive and build function. Or alternatively, what I could do is go back to the purchase order and say that I'm going to receive it from here. You can do it either way. The output is the same. And I'll do it directly from the purchase order. So I clicked receive here, and it's going to take me to an item receipt. And you'll see that we're receiving it to the bicycle manufacturer's location, meaning that it's built there. And once we receive it, it'll be available for transfer back to our location or whatever other location you may want to transfer it to. Or you may potentially even just store it there and drop ship it to your customers. One thing to point out is that you do have the option of adjusting the quantity of the components that are actually being consumed using an assembly build helper. But for the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going to receive it using the quantities that we have in place. But just to show you, it's as simple as clicking assembly build helper here. It'll take you to the assembly build transaction, and you can adjust the quantities of what's actually being consumed. So in the event that maybe a bicycle frame was faulty or the wheels had a problem with it, you could adjust these quantities to consume more if needed. But I'll keep these quantities as is and just go ahead and save. Okay, so that item receipt has now been saved, and you'll see now that a column's been added showing us the assembly build that was created against that work order. And I do want to pull up this assembly build to briefly touch on the general ledger impact of that transaction. So you'll see that the inventory value of that finished good, of that bicycle, is $172. And that's comprised of the raw materials. So that's the bicycle frame, the wheels, the handlebar, and then of course also that outsourced production charge. So that $100 that we initially included for that production charge item on the purchase order has been baked into the finished good cost. So that really is the totality of the high level end-to-end process of outsourced manufacturing in NetSuite. And one more thing that I want to point out is you do have the opportunity, if you don't want to receive it to the manufacturer's location, I could have entered this location to be my headquarters or a different location in which we wanted to receive it. And what NetSuite will automatically do is in this inventory transfer column, you'd see that it automatically would produce an inventory transfer to move that inventory. So you can bypass the step of needing to create a transfer order if you would like to receive it directly to your location. Okay, so that concludes the demonstration today. And if you enjoyed what you saw here today, feel free to click the free consultation button on this page to book your personalized demo with our team. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.